want you to see this. Allow me to be your eyes.
Freaks of the Vine, a controversial podcast answering tough questions regarding issues of the day from a practical biblical world view.
I was flipping the channels on podcasts, and what I found was I like Freaks of the Vine, but they lie. They lie a lot. They lie, talk about they're going to be on camera. and they didn't. They brought nothing. They brought nothing but a bunch of lies.
I'm just kidding. We don't lie. We just tried. We tried. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Freaks of the Vine, where we are just going to be doing our normal backdrop. It's not Gage's fault. It's not anybody's fault. We just realized that we just had a few other pieces of equipment we had to get.
Yeah.
Was that fair?
That is fair.
Okay. We didn't know. We're trying.
We gave it a shot. It did not work.
I think Jamie on Joe Rogan has a lot more money than we do to spend, and so... one part was like $300. I was like, oh, well, okay, got it. We'll figure that out. We're good. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Freaks of the Vine. I am Patrick. To my right is Mr. Well, we'll start with Gage. Gage.
Hello.
Mr. Zach.
What's up?
And Miss Kay.
Hello.
Sitting to my right, and I was going to go to my left, because it makes a difference. That
Yeah, they can't.
There's no camera.
Yeah. They want to know.
Well, it was great being back in the saddle with our last episode, getting caught back in. And after a lot of work that Gage has poured into it, we're going to go back to our old style of showing a moving picture. Kind of like Rush.
Yay. Yeah. Good album.
Yeah, that was.
So sorry we can't. You're probably blessed not to see our mugs at the end, but just lie in suspense longer. All right. Well, Kay, you have a topic you'd like to service tonight, and I'd like you just to jump right into it. Maybe a couple here. So go ahead and what are you giving to us tonight?
All right. Has anybody ever heard of the Black Mass? It's Satanic Grotto is the organization, and I guess its founder or organizer or whatever you want to call him is Michael Stewart. They're going to go to the Kansas Capitol on March 28th.
Right in our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do there?
Well, they're going to go in and I guess do whatever satanic rituals that they have. Again, I don't know what all that is, but they're wanting to do it inside the Capitol. And I guess the governor has put out there that she's not going to allow them to be inside the Capitol. They can go outside.
So a Black Mass is basically like a mockery of the Catholic Mass.
Correct.
Yeah. So
It's blasphemous Catholic Mass. They do everything to mock it. And the dude, one of the most hypocritical things I've ever read or heard, he said that the reason why they exist basically is to counteract or push back against the idea that, well, we never agreed to be subjected to religion.
Oh.
So we don't want that. So we're going to conduct a literal religious ceremony.
Right.
Does anyone see that? Like, okay, that's one way to go about it, I guess.
So do they? I'm assuming they believe in God and they believe in Satan, but however they worship Satan and not God. Or
it's honestly it's a path where you can go headlong into, and don't like trying to figure out, because I mean, screw tape letters. You want to know your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, still read 2,000 years later, however long ago it was written. It's a long time ago, and its total strategy of luring out your enemy, deceiving him, strategizing on how to psychologically get the upper hand over your opponent. So you want to, I always do anyway. I want to know what my enemy's thinking, what their motives are. and you try to go down that rabbit hole of the satanic rituals, and it makes your skin crawl.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, you obviously know who Satan is, because that's your little g god. It doesn't end well for him, and it doesn't end well for you. You are a total puppet and marionette and subjected to the biggest lies and deception you could ever come up with.
No doubt. We know that about them.
Right. And they're totally blind to it.
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, so they want to conduct their black mass at our state capitol, and he's got members and chapters in Wichita from Wichita to Kansas City, and probably even from Goodland to Kansas City. Who knows? There's closet Satanists everywhere. Probably not a whole lot in rural Kansas, but you never know.
Well, and there might be some like closet fans of it, or like more intrigue, and so
Right.
they may show up to.
But they're not even being like, this isn't closet KKK members, man. Like they have a Facebook page created of like, yep, well, I'm going. I'm interested. This is just out in the open.
All right. So, anybody listening that doesn't reside in our part of the state capital of Kansas, of course, is Topeka, where we reside, and it is the northeast, basically not the furthermost, but northeast portion of the state. We are about an hour west of, or 60 miles west of Kansas City. Gage, what is your take on this little black mass? Why don't you drop us some nugget of your brainiac wisdom on that?
I think it's very interesting that they structure it just like Catholic Mass, so they'll do the bread and wine. So they'll do their little sacrifice thing just the same.
The back and forth chants.
Yeah, yep. Their own, the satanic Bible that they got that they read out of, it'll be they just structure it the exact same. And like you were saying, the book that they get where we find Satan, and all these things are like, yeah, we can read how it ends, but we're just going to skip that part. And he's still better than God.
He's the hero because he's the one that challenges God.
Yeah.
Then
he's really free.
Right.
And so it'll be good. Yeah.
So the whole rally at the state house is they want to conduct it inside.
Yeah.
And then our governor, who is a Democrat, resides in the Democratic Party, said, no, not doing this inside. Go outside. Dude said, Mike Stewart said that, we will be going inside our First Amendment rights, and if they want to kick us out, they'll have to arrest us.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if they just show up on the lawn and start doing their black mass gig, or if they're actually going to make a scene. But yeah,
I think everybody has a take on their feeling of this. Maybe some people don't. Maybe some people would listen to this or just have heard about this and they don't really care. Other people are amused. Other people are up in arms about
there
it.
has been a petition that's collected thousands of signatures.
How many? Is it 22,000?
It's climbing 24,000, something like that, to shut it down. I don't know if that.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Yes.
It was done by a lot of Catholic universities.
Yeah, you see, like, the Catholic committee, I don't even, like, the board of...
Whatever it's called.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're really rallying around this going, no, you don't.
All right, and I hate using the term devil's advocate. We're not using that today. But let me just counter this from a constitutional standpoint.
It does.
Isn't this their right to do it?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying, is it okay to do it?
It's not all right to create. You can't disturb the peace, and you can't. There's also a couple of other law-abiding things that you cannot do. But constitutionally, in this country, you have every right.
I don't know that you'd see a lot of action on the inside of the state capitol, like the prayer, like the Right to Life of Kansas, when they gather. Mm-hmm. It's an outdoor on the stairs, so it's outside, it's peaceful, right? And everybody gathers, a few things are said, and then everybody's praying. Kind of an ecumenical thing. the Christian, Protestant, and Catholics get together and they pray together. But with this, all right, I'm not for it. I'm just saying, doesn't it gain nobody should be for it, but isn't it going to gain more steam if they get more attention? Like, they're going to be doing it anyway.
Let them do it.
Well, you have to anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
But like, if we just showed up and like turned our backs at them, would that be more?
Right.
You know, I mean,
They're going to get more marketing, publicity, and popularity if shut them down. Try to silence them. Then they're just going to go up in arms.
Yeah.
Show up, let the 15 people do their thing. You know, throw your middle finger up at the idea of church, but conduct your own church. Cool.
Yeah.
You know,
I just think it's taken a. I don't. Okay, you brought the topic up. What are your thoughts? Why don't you share with us what you're thinking? Are you opinionated about this, or you just kind of?
I think, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why they did it at the Capitol, and that's to gain the exposure of the public, to get more people involved in.
You go stomp on Capitol
yeah.
Hill, right?
Yeah.
And in this case, it's just the state capitol, but still, it's a place where it's going to garner attention.
Exactly. And I don't know. I think churches ought to get together and just be on the outside and not necessarily protest, but just
Pray.
Pray, yeah. So
Nothing wrong with that at all. That's a great idea.
One more question for you guys about this before we move to the next topic. Do you find it? Is there any irony? They're mocking the Catholic Church. You know where I'm going with this. Like, the Reformation stood in stark contrast against the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church feels like all Christian churches are anathema to the Catholic Church.
Yes.
The Church of Satan is showing up to mock the Catholic Church, which technically, if you're not a Catholic, you're an anathema to them. So they're not, you know, we have brothers and sisters that come out of Catholicism all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are absolute, true, Christ-loving Catholics. No doubt about that.
No doubt about that. I believe that they're in there, but they're not everywhere. And so, I'm not posing it.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it, but you did.
You said the quiet thing out loud,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah. And that's fine, because then now I'll jump on it. Yeah, I think it is pretty funny. You know, because, the Catholics, it's...
Yeah.
Most of them are married to their religion, right? Mm-hmm. Christianity is not a religion. We always say that. It's a... I mean, it is religion, but you guys know what I mean. It's not these rules, and it's not this legalistic side that everyone thinks
you
it
ain't
is.
gonna catch us calling a human being Holy Father.
Right. Yeah.
Who
Or
lives in Rome.
Yeah. Or,
I know he's sick, and we should be praying for the man. But as a man,
right. You elevate.
Yeah.
They really elevate people that you probably shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we can go on forever about
Protestants and Catholics is a war.
Oh yeah,
it's gone back.
Yeah, so we can go on forever.
I'm not saying I like it because they're protesting the Catholicism.
No.
I'm just saying that it's ironic that
absolutely.
it's ironic that they're protesting the Catholic ritual, but they believe it's still Christian.
Well, here's another thing. That the biggest thing that they have a problem with is the biggest thing that we as Reformed Protestants have a problem with.
Right.
The magic dipping of the water in the hands.
Right, and the literal blood and body of Christ, right?
Yeah.
And now they go do their sacrifice.
They bring Christ down.
Right.
Yeah.
And so their thing is the, unholy communion or whatever, right? It's very, like you said, it's very ironic. It really is. And
It's going to involve inverted crosses, more than likely. I guess, guys, okay.
And they start like sacrificing animals and stuff, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you got issues.
and I don't think they'll do anything like that. But if they did, it would be like,
you hope not.
right? Here's what I'm getting at. There was a time in my life where I'm not saying that I'm standing for this. I'm clearly in opposition of it.
Yeah.
I just think you give. It was sort of like that movie. What was the NC-17 rating of that movie? Showgirls. Years ago, Showgirls comes out. It gets an NC-17. It's the first time anything that's above an R.
Oh, okay.
That's not porn.
Never.
Right, but yeah.
That's like released in just
For TV
casual theaters.
Yeah, and it was pushing the boundary line, right? Well, I worked at a radio station that made a big deal about it, and we were supposed to protest it. I know more people who decided to go see it that hadn't even heard about it because they saw the protesters protesting it.
No doubt you bring a spotlight to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if you spotlight the morons who are showing up to do moronic things, at the same time, I do believe, no doubt about it, believers and members of the Catholic and Protestant church, they're still going to show up and they're going to do whatever they do. Phelpsy boys' families are going to probably be out there too, which adds no validity to anything that we're doing anyway. But or credibility, I should say. But let's just say that people show up, they're going to do what they're going to do, and I dig that. I love that about about people of faith. I just say there was a time where I'd go up to a register and I'd buy something to eat or whatever, and it was $6.66. And I remember being like one of those dummies that would go, "Oh, add a pack of gum onto that." If it's $6.66, I laugh at it and I pay the amount of money. It's just a number. I know who is an authority over this world, and he says that this stuff is going to happen. And so I think it's important that we are aware of it, and I think it's important that we do talk about it and let people stand up against it.
Yeah. And I think, too, we always talk about, or I don't know. I don't know if we always talk about it, but this idea of it's really acceptable to make fun of Christianity, and the joke's always on the Christian. And so these guys come out, and honestly, if it was anything else, the world would be in uproar about it. But now it's Catholicism, and they're like, that's cool. We don't like those guys either, and so we're gonna
it's making fun of those dirty, rotten Christians. I'm on it.
Yeah, they're like,
go
all
for it.
for it. Yeah. And and of course that's not what we're saying.
Right.
We are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for picking up my low falling pants. Yes, I no, absolutely.
The freedom, that's the best thing about this country. You are free to do whatever you want. But the irony in it that because it's the Christian faith, everyone jumps on it like, yeah, we hate those guys too. So we don't really believe what you guys are saying, but we're going to jump on it. And all this publicity is just bringing out more people who are interested.
Absolutely.
It just adds fuel to the fire. And yeah.
All right. Well, you said free country. I'm going to change the subject. Free. Speaking of free, did you hear what Southwest announced? They are no longer going to allow your bags to fly free. They changed the game of air flight, and now and now they're going to charge
like
for
carry on.
Yeah. Like it's just like everybody else. So they're going to maintain their higher ticket prices, and then they're going to charge for bags. And I just thought that was interesting the other day. I was like, hasn't that been their calling card for like you're free to move about the country? For like the last 20 years, and now they're going to.
I fly probably once every 15 years, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
you too. Legit, maybe 10. Maybe 10. Maybe 10 years. Maybe once every 10 years.
But yeah, they were always the free carry-on.
Wasn't that 10 years ago you flew to New York?
No, it was after you and Shelly got married. So not quite.
Oh. Okay. I thought it was less than that. So that experience in New York was really interesting. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, what's your next topic? You got it for us.
All right. Kind of stems from Genesis and kind of the why did people live so long? I mean, you've got what, Moses that lived 120 years. You got Adam who lived 930 years. And you've got Noah who's 950 years.
And who lived the longest? Methuselah.
How long?
982, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Goodness.
Great question. Why did people, you know why they did? They didn't have scooters. They didn't have scooters, coffee, or 7 Brew.
I thought you were talking about like
Scooters, and
scooters.
they kept falling off of them, hitting their shins.
Exactly. Those shin shots, man.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have bad diets.
So if the Earth's only 6,000 years old, Homeboy has lived for almost 1/6 of the entire duration of the Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's crazy.
Enoch was 365. Lamech 182. Jared had lived 162 years. He fathered Enoch. But all the days of Jared were 962 years. That was actually up until he fathered Enoch. So the purpose of this was because of Adam's sin, in the Garden of Eden. But God still wanted to populate the earth. So mankind was allowed to live longer. So therefore you could reproduce for a lot longer. The interesting thing of discovery and archaeology is that the longer you live, your frontal cranial lobe actually expands.
Gravity
Yeah.
elongates your cranium, which makes the Neanderthal skull look not human.
Yeah. So when people uncover Neanderthals, they think, well, how do you explain Neanderthal? And then you find out that age of that, you can do testing on those remains and find that it's sort of like a tree. It has circle rings, when you test bone fragment, you can see how the aging process went and not as far as how long it's been dead, because they don't know how to do that. They can tell the age of that person. That's why when you dig up bones now, we found a bone. We can believe this is a 38-year-old woman. Okay.
Right.
A 90-year-old man. They can test that now. And so when you see the old skulls or whatever found and people that had hunchback, you're thinking, oh, these are Neanderthals. No, those are humans. Those are the skulls of the people who lived hundreds of years, or the bodies. But I believe God allowed that to allow us to procreate more often, and hence populating the earth. We're not millions of years old. We're over 6,600 years old, according to biblical record. You don't have to believe that, but we find that there's nothing that discounts that and discredits it.
Yeah.
So
modern academia would try to refute you, but it's,
amen.
It in itself is built on a house of cards.
Yes, it is.
It's not. I mean, there's headlines coming out now where it's like, we may now understand that previously we miscalculated certain things in space.
Yeah.
Like, this thing doesn't actually move at this speed.
Because the further out in the universe that you go, the faster space is expanding. So technically, the theory is that
so the nothing that began is getting
getting bigger faster than the speed of light, which is the fastest thing known
that we can measure.
Right.
As far as
yeah, and it's expanding. It's moving faster than that, and so.
Yeah,
it's very
the astronomy.
You guys just blew my brain open, man. I don't.
Well, that's where astronomy and cosmology.
Very interesting.
The study of the universe, and astronomy is the study of the stars and planetary objects. And I mean, I just watched a video of a guy who has his own ranch, like New Mexico or something, because New Mexico is one of the highest elevations in the United States. Actually, I think the highest elevation in the United States is in New Mexico. So he lives way up in the mountain, and ex-NASA employee or something has the computer software, has the telescope, and literally almost was like showing the beginnings of the universe. stars than like 64 billion years ago. And like the way they're described, like, how do you not believe this?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hold on a second.
Right.
Things might not be as they seem. As old Optimus used to say, you know, there's more than meets the eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
There just is. There's just something. But yeah, I mean, it gets mind blowing. And that's the biggest fight that I have with people is geology and astronomy.
Yeah.
You know, the fossil record, which there is no fossil record, but that's a different story. And then the stars above. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, and you know, it's interesting because we all have access to the same data, right?
Uh-huh.
We all look at the same information and we all come to different conclusions.
Exactly. And why does one side
one side
pushes theirs so hard and wants the other side to feel so dumb?
Right. Well, that's yeah.
And the other side happens to go with an old ancient book written by God through human hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again with this idea of you know, something moving faster than the speed of light, they never imagined anything would ever beat that. And then okay, well,
and then there's
only
this
theories.
filament that's in between stuff in space, and it's not matter, it's dark matter,
right?
And like, what is?
It's strange.
It is, man.
It's so strange. But you know, going back to all these people that live forever, you know, they look at the bones and they're like, it's you know, it's a link between monkey and man. And then we look at it and we're like, well, I don't think so. It doesn't look like it. And like, no, you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about.
My question is, if we are about 6,600 years or ish old, since the formation or creation that God had created the earth, why did it take 6,500 years to create a bidet? Or 6,550 to create a television? I just was wondering why it took so long.
The first thing out of your mouth was
that's pretty
a butthole washer.
Yes, I find the bidet very fascinating. Very fascinating. And I
think it's a water fountain.
I don't even live in Europe. It's a water fountain for doggies. Oh, speaking of dogs today, I'm a touchy person. I keep reaching over and slapping Zach's arm to get his attention. Oh no, I wish I would have gone to the shelter. You know what? We would have found a bunch of pit bulls. Because there's always pit bulls there. And that, I will tell you, we're going to advocate for pit bulls the rest of our lives because they are the greatest dog. Anyway, I went to this lady's house from the church. And I won't say her name, but she told me at the door, she goes, she's like 80. She goes, I got a couple little dogs. And I'm like, that's okay. I love dogs. She goes, I don't know if you're going to love my dog. And she put one behind the gate. The other one's not having it with me either. I sit down and she goes, you want to sit outside on the bench? And she had her windows open, this little town place by over where you live. And I was like, no, it's cool. Let the dog out of the dog beelines to my foot. And my little son of a bit me right on the top of the foot. And I was like, son of a drew blood through my sock. And she goes, I'm so sorry. I go, no, you're fine. And she picked him up and then she put him back behind the gate.
How'd you not turn that dog into a 60-yard field goal?
Like 60 seconds later, she goes, I did warn you. I'm like, oh.
Was it Chihuahua?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I'm going to tell you what.
Imagine that.
I've met more pit bulls that are loving.
And more Chihuahuas that deserve
evil. They're the ones that are. I guarantee you, if you find the guy who's in charge of this black mass thing, it's a Chihuahua. It's actually in a human suit.
Or he has 3.
They are evil.
Yeah.
I do not like those little dogs. They can Yo Quiero Taco Bell all the way to Hades, my friends. I know there's people that have nice Chihuahuas. All right, anyway. I had to share that with you because, my foot still hurts. I was like, damn, that old dog.
Wow.
I don't know how I didn't kick it.
I would have.
Yep.
Most definitely.
All right.
Well, I want to add to, because you were talking about the universe and stuff, and I know tonight we're having a lunar eclipse.
Yes.
So, you know, if you go back,
Blood moon.
yeah, to the times of Genesis, and there were not astronomers, I guess that's, yeah, and they see this happen in the sky. What do you imagine goes through their mind of like, what is going on with the world and the stars and the moon, and, you know, I mean, I just can't imagine from that time, because they didn't have the technology that we have today.
Right. They had scripture.
Yeah.
So I think that they're just fundamental underlying faith and love of God. They just looked up at the celestial sky and were just like, that's you.
Yeah.
They didn't have the distractions that we do.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's a very good point.
Well, then you got all the other people who were the create gods for it.
Right.
Yeah.
All the
Right.
indigenous world tribes all over, like in the Amazon, you know, looking up and
Yeah.
Like, what?
yeah. Tonight, you know, every baby 6 months and older into the fire. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like weird things happen, man.
Yeah.
Especially with
Would be
people.
interesting.
Yeah.
I think that
Throw a baby in a fire.
right.
So I'm just reading, and I forgot which part, but I think it was in Jeremiah where Paul was talking about Corinthians about how, yeah, man, like people were worshiping fallen gods and falling into the trap of sacrificing their children to burning their first or second born children to these false gods. Yeah. And
It's so hard to imagine, to get your brain around the idea or the notion that somebody would go from serving Jehovah God
Yeah.
in Israel.
right. And knowing who he is,
Yeah.
and then go, Timmy,
Yeah.
come here. You know, like, ugh.
I know. And it's
No way.
It's insane. It's insane to think about.
No, we're doing it now. We just insert a needle and do it in the womb.
Oh, that's a good one. 67. We're at 67 million now. We're at 67 million now. So, you know,
But it doesn't count because they're not born.
You know, I was talking to Carl.
Or they might be a dolphin.
I was talking to Carl over in Sweden, and he doesn't know the total yet. But guess when they're same year, they legalized abortion in Sweden, 73. Yeah, I said, you know what I mean? He goes, no, not on the scale of you guys, but we still legalize it. It's still something.
I don't know if it was Sweden or not, but didn't they practice eugenics?
I don't know if it was Sweden. That's a good question. I'll have to ask him about that sometime.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't Sweden. Maybe it was one Poland.
Yeah, it was. They're the ones who. Yes, it was.
Or like try to eliminate any genetic defect, mental disability, physical disability, and try to like make pure humans.
Yeah. Huh.
It was somebody. I'm so sorry, Sweden, if it's not you. But it was a country in the Arctic Circle. I'm almost 100% like,
It's got to be Greenland.
yeah. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Greenland is covered in ice, and Iceland is covered in green.
Yeah, you got that from the Mighty Ducks.
No, is it really? Yeah. I don't remember that.
It's like D2 when Estevez is Gordon Bombay is on a date and they're eating ice cream, and I think it's the chick that says, "That's a misnomer. Greenland's actually covered in ice, and Iceland's covered in green." And I always remember that. Mighty Ducks. Yeah.
I haven't seen D2 and probably since you were picking your nose.
Probably.
Well, you brought up, Kay, the whole thing about the age of the people in Genesis, as we've seen. Did you have another question you wanted to tie on to that? What was your add-on?
Basically, look how long we live today. I mean, what's kind of the average person they claim is what, 80, 85, somewhere right around there?
Yeah.
And isn't it women live longer than men? Or?
Well, I don't,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Women have to live longer than men because
what?
we do stupid things.
Yeah, it's the life expectancy it is climbing, but
Yeah, I was going to say, because I've got some numbers out here from the people collecting Social Security.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's definitely.
Oh, this ought to be interesting.
It's definitely climbing. So I mean,
People 130 to 139.
well, we've got even up to 100.
People are 189.
Yeah. 189 years old.
Collecting Social Security.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
695 people. I mean,
695 people in the United States are collecting Social Security. I love this country.
so, yeah, we're not living as long as what they did back in Genesis, but
Yes.
We're doing pretty good.
Oh man, that's great. I wonder who's been getting those paychecks for a while. In 2022, the average U.S. life expectancy at birth was 77.5, up from 76.4 in 2021.
okay.
Males versus females in 22. For males was 74, while females is 80.2. I told you. It's
Oh, wow. Yeah.
No, I told you.
almost 6 years difference.
Yeah.
We have a lot more widows than we do widowers
Yeah.
in the church.
For sure.
That's for sure. Oh, I always like this. Decline in life expectancy in the U.S. in recent years is partly attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic, along with other factors like drug overdoses and chronic diseases. Yeah.
And probably the food we eat, like the red dye.
The mass processed food
Yeah.
we eat, man, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. The diet, the vices. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta tell you guys a funny music anecdote. Speaking of vices and life expectancies, remember when we did the last episode last week? I went back and listened to the one we did last, and I made an apology and said we'll be doing these a little more frequently, and then we go 9 minutes. I was pretty proud of that statement.
Typical
I was
Garlock
like,
promise right there.
Oh yes. That guy's promising them video. That'll happen. One day people will just pop on the podcast and they'll go, "Wow, that's what they look like."
One day.
Yeah.
One day. All right. Well, thank you for the topic of Social Security. Yeah, I'm not going to reach it.
No. I want to know what they're eating. Like these people that live to
That live that long.
180 years old. What are you eating? And
There's no way that's real.
are you not drinking, smoking, just living life? And
USAID has something to do with this. They're going through and cleaning all the books out, and people are all up in arms and pissed off at old Elon Musk. All this spending, and you can't even say they've been shredding all the paperwork in the offices.
yeah,
They've never done that before. They've been shredding and burning all of the USAID paperwork. The government officials were ordered to do it because they will trace it that it didn't go to where it was supposed to go. It went to the pockets of bureaucrats and politicians. And,
Yep.
I'm not going to say to you that any politician on the left or the right side are going to be squeaky clean, but you can usually tell the ones that are really dirty when they get pissed off that you caught them.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. Sad.
Yeah.
Sad state of affairs.
It is.
But-
Yes.
Well, big gulp, huh, guys? Gage. So, do you know what you call an alligator? Zach? Okay. That decides to become an FBI. An investigator.
That's good.
Pretty good.
Oh.
Good.
Any other topics tonight, my friend? For tonight's episode?
Nope. Pretty well out.
Okay. That's good. Well,
That's pretty-
tapped out.
Pretty heavy.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we close tonight with this, we're going to do 2 episodes tonight. Before we close with this one, I was going to say this. Have you guys watched House of David?
Oh.
I think we're on the 2nd episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna kick off our next one with that topic. How's that?
Yeah.
Because by then, a few more episodes will be out, and maybe by the time somebody actually listens to this, season 1 is already over with. So,
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the Freaks of the Vine podcast. And our next one will come out in a few days from now. So hopefully you enjoyed this. And as always, you can always email us at
freaksofthevine@gmail.com.
Matthew. You're the only one that's not allowed to email anymore.
Please
So
stop.
Way to go, Matt. Way to go, Matt. All right. Lord bless you guys. Have a great rest of your day. For Kay, for Zach, for Gage, I'm Patrick, and we are out.
Late.